Party time. Party time. Party time. Party time. Drink your drinks and eat your eats. It's party time. Laugh your laughs and heat your heats. It's party time. Smile your smiles and blue your blues. It's party time. Dance your dance and shoe your shoes. It's party time. Howl your howls and suck your socks. It's party time. Oh baby, grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. Grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. Everybody, grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. One more. Grab your craps and fuck your fucks. It's party time. Here we go. Party time. Yeah. Party time. Party time. Yeah. Party time. 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 Hey. Party time. Yeah. Party time.
It is indeed party time, and I seem to have lost the border. No doubt it will come back. Now, has anyone noticed? First one in the chat to notice. I'll give you a bit of a close-up and a little bit of a less broken nose. Packer don't count. Hello, Livy. Hello, Lee. Hello, El Freedom UK. Daniel, suck your socks. Who knows what he's talking about? All I know is it's party time. Keys to the Kingdom reckons I'm shinier. Well, until the missus just turned off the backlighting. I think I might be able to drop in some, because you know, so that don't count, but it's given a little bit of a hello, Wolfie. Hello, Shane Ross Jury. How are you, son? AAA's back on the firm. Arius is in. Lovely. All wonderful. I'm sure there's people I've missed. I'll catch up with you. Barney Rubble's on the firm. You've got to fight for your right to part. Exactly. It's a Beastie Boys matoid. You've got a tan. Well, I did go on holiday to Thailand. I took the missus to Thailand for a long weekend. Sounds good, but because of where I live, it's just essentially a glorified weekend in Margate. If you'd have seen my Lockpicking Legend video, you'll know that joke is rehearsed. Lee says his nose looks a bit weird. I've been accused of being a 4x2. I've been accused of being a gypsy. I mean, one of those two is not entirely wrong. My old man, Dr. C. Lilly, is on the firm. I haven't had Botox for about 10, 15 years. I started having it for migraines prescribed by the NHS, but I carried on having it because it gave me a forehead like a baby's shoulder. How are you meant to talk about babies these days without getting arrested or clipped? Dangerfield said he's put his head on a baby's shoulder. Dirty bastard. Health Freedom UK says anything's better than Margate. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Margate. I have to say, though, first time my missus has been on an aeroplane. Now, you've got to remember, nearly 8 years ago, I took her on an escalator. Took her. We went up and we went down. And that was amazing, watching her just marvel at a set of electronic stairs. Getting her on an aeroplane was incredible, and it did not stop her wanking me off at all. So that was excellent. Hello, John. How are you, son? Good to see thee. Otto's on the firm. I hope you're all right, mate. I can't believe no one's got it. JP's suggesting that I might be on the tribe. Exactly. I mean, it's clear as day, isn't it? It's as clear as day that I'm Jippo. Although there are some historical documents that suggest the Jippos, as you called them, not me, the replacement of rest in peace, Susan. That it is actually the Jippos were the chosen tribe of God. I mean, I suppose it depends what angle you're looking at the Bible from. There you go. That's a bit more light. Oh, there you go. You can actually see me now. You can see that I haven't actually got a ton. Has no one got it? I'm a little bit disappointed. Now, without a doubt, Dangerfield is a Romany name. It's a Romany Christian name. Well, Romany first name. That would be a bit silly. I've got a new pair of bins, people. It's quite a funny. We've got a great video today, by the way. We're going to react to a Mr. Reagan video, and what he says is incredible. So here's my old bins. Notice I've only got one arm on them, but look at the size difference. When I take these off, they're the old ones. See, you can clearly see my eyebrows, and they don't go out further than my ears. Whereas the new ones, I look like the geezer out of Falling Down. You know that movie where he gets caught up in a car at the traffic jam and ends up getting hold of an automatic weapon and falling down, losing his mind. Lovely moral structure and a hero's journey. So they're the difference. I got a new pair of bins. Now here's the funny story though. Well, I say funny, it's all relative. As soon as I got back from Thailand, because I don't need glasses to see the world. Everyone needs some kind of lens to see the world, though. But I do need them for reading and writing, and I do read and write a hell of a lot. And it's just migraine central, proper migraine. Not, I've got a bad headache. I tell you what, I can't stand it when people say, I get migraines. I always say to them, what with aura? And they go, nah, just like a headache. I tell you now, the headache is the least worrying part of my migraines. The vomiting ain't great. 24 hours in bed in a dark room, that's not ideal with no energy. The melancholia can be a bit of a drag. But the headache, funny things, migraines. Anyway, they're a really good little family business, this opticians that I use. What are they called? Senkong Optics or something. So I've gone back there. I said, look, I stamped on my glasses in Thailand. I need a new pair. He said, well, we'll give you another checkup because it's been a few years. So he gives me a checkup and he says, your eyesight's actually improved. Now, I've never heard that from opticians. I mean, that isn't a way of earning more money, is it? And so I was a bit sus, but, they've never let me down in there. Even to the point where when I was in another country years ago and I smashed my glasses, it seems to be a thing with holidays. It's probably the crack. But I wrote to them and said, can you send over my prescription so this geezer can make me up some lenses? And they did. Anyway, he gives me these new bins. I've choose the frames. I'm very happy with them. Get home, put them on. Can't read on the screen. Like I'm looking and I'm like, hang on. That's clearer without them. I get a message from someone on my phone. I look at it on WhatsApp. Can't read it. Now, I know that it takes, because what have I got? Astigmas or Astimagus, Magnus Magnusson. It's awful explanatory explosions. It's, I I've asked, so I'll continue to answer. I know it takes a while to adapt. The first time I got this one, anything that was square was like a parallelogram. It was all over the shop. And I read that because your brain, my brain, has been compensating for this different size in the cornea, pupil, iris, eye. That's where the migraines are coming from. This eye putting in more work to counterbalance the problems of this eye. So when you put new glasses on, your brain has trained itself to not be equal. But here's the kicker. It said, however, if you can't read, there might be perspective distortions and angular distortions. But if words are blurry, you got to get back to the opticians. They've written something down wrong. They've made a mistake. And like I say, done me another eye test and everything. Went back down there, told him the story, and we went through just a conversation so he could find out. And the problem was, he didn't realise I didn't need bins for all day wear. When I said to him, I got home and I looked at my computer. So he said, hang on, it was you first noticed it on your computer. I said, I only wear glasses when I'm reading or writing or on my phone. And on my phone, I'm usually reading or writing or wanking. So, what's it going to be? And he said, well, there's your problem. So he went off, come back, no charge, obviously. But the brand new glasses and the definitely original Ray-Ban frames, $25. Gutted because I'm fucking Brassic. And the grift has been terrible, people. The grift has been terrible. I understand that everyone's broke, but I understand that I'm broke more. I think that's fair enough, isn't it? We all understand people are skint, but you understand your own skintness more. While we're on that, I've got entropy donations at the top of the YouTube chat, but I've also put buy me a coffee in there. If you use buy me a coffee, you get a video reply. Bless you, Jeffro, who gave me 5 of those. Bless you, Ray Vahi. You know my best mate, Ray Vahi, who owns BitChute, which is something like the 700th most popular website in the world at the moment. He gave me something like 10. He bought me 10 coffees, which is lovely. So that's going really well. Then you've got super chats down the bottom of YouTube as well. So all happy days. Throw money at me and you get more videos. I've been making loads of videos. Obviously, the last 5-6 days I haven't because I went to Thailand. Check this out. I used to go to Thailand from England. From door to door, 18 hours. And that's living 5 minutes from Piccadilly Circus tube station. So walk out your house, you're on the tube, you're at the airport. Still took nearly 20 hours. From here, vartation has occurred. From here to Thailand, 4.5 hours. So you leave at 8 o'clock in the morning. None of that. Get to the airport 3 hours earlier. Fuck that. We'll get there half hour earlier. I said to my missus, don't worry, I never queue up at airports. We got to that bit where there's 1,000 people in that weird maze. And she was like, darling, we've only got 10 minutes. I said, yeah, but it only takes one. Run up to the geezer. Now we've actually got an hour. And I said to him, I said, mate, look, and I just cover the details with my hand so that he can't see them. I said, mate, look, we've got this flight, but you can't, if you look at it, you can see that we ain't going to get it. And if we miss this flight, we're not going to be able to get it until tomorrow. And I can't get back home. And she's going to be in all sorts of trouble. Just just give him one option. Give him one option. He can't say no. No. Why can't he say no? This is basic psychology. Because he hasn't got anything to say no to. He can't just go, nah, because then what if I say, yeah, but your mate over there said if I talk to you, do you know what I mean? So the only option I give him is to lift up that little thing and let me through, which he did, which they always do. Wheelchair service is also quite a good one. Sometimes you have to pay for it and you have to walk with a limp for a little bit at a time. But wheelchair service is wicked because you don't have to worry about looking at boards and timing and all that. You know, they know exactly where they're going. They take you through security. They don't really give you a proper pat down. You just sit down, take it easy, get your AirPods in, bit of spiritualized. Here we go on holiday. Couldn't do that one with the missus though, unless I sat her on my lap. But, you know, I don't want to put an extra 10 kilograms on the poor bloke who's pushing me. I told you, one of the fellas who got me on the wheelchair service coming back from Chiang Mai the other month when I went to hospital, as I was going down to the bit to the plane, he went, money tip. And I was like, nah. How about no? Only because I didn't have it though. Only because I didn't want to give it him. Anyway, let's see what... Hello, Umbrella Man. Nice to see thee. Hans Worst, Lady Godiva, started things off beautifully. Thank you, Hans. I know what times we're in. That's lovely. I put up a thing on my Buy Me a Coffee saying I wanted to raise $2,000 to pay a decent designer for my novel cover, which now might end up being my commercial novel, and I'm nearly halfway there. It just restores your faith in humanity. Can you? I've worked 8 years on a novel. Can you help us out so I can get a decent cover? Because there's people on Amazon who can't write for shit, who are selling millions of novels because they've spent 5-10 grand on a cover. It's an art. And then there's great writers on Amazon who are selling 2 or 3 a year. No, because I'm going to do the cover because it's my novel and I'm going to do this lovely portrait of the love of my life that the novel's about. You've got to spend the money where it's worth spending. And I can't believe that I've actually nearly reached half of it. I'll have $2,000. I'll have $2,000. And I've put that in a savings account. That is definitely being spent on a cover. I mean, how can you improve on news that good? Well, I'll tell you how you can. Like this. Here he is. Hello, son.
Hello.
Did you decide to appear as a silhouette today?
Oh, am I dark?
A little bit. I mean, if you're all right with it, the audience won't be. But just get a light page up on your second monitor or something. If you can't do anything about it, mate, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's your show anyway. That I'm sure you're aware of the running joke about that. There you go, sorted.
Yeah,
Perfection.
But now I just look like I'm being beamed up somewhere, don't I?
People in the chat, Scrubs 1074895. Let me know what you think. Lee, I thought about it. Hang on. Lee says, get your Batman, mate. He's talking about Jock, of course. And Jock would do it. Jock used to do my Edinburgh Fringe flyers. I say he would do it. I mean, it's a bit of an assumption, but he's a mate, so he probably would. And which is weird because that's usually a 10 grand job. If anyone else asked him, I'm not sure if it's the right. You know, he could probably do the illustration, but not the graphic design. But yeah, Lee, if you think that hasn't, what's that little farting sound?
Just then.
Is that you? Well, it's. Jack, can you hear Packer farting? Hello, Woodlander. Hope you're well, mate. Hope you're feeling well. Yeah, look.
Can you hear Mrs. Packer when she talks? Basically.
Lartus wants a cover for free. Yeah, sure. All right. I don't. AAA wants to know if it's your rabbit or not. He is looking good, isn't he, John? I was just thinking the pair of us scrubbed up quite nicely for this stream, and I'll tell you what, we've got a cracking stream. I can't work out whether that is on my camera or my forehead. It would appear to be neither. Well, that's weird, isn't it? It's like in the air. I can feel it coming in the air at night. I don't like it, though, I must admit. That's got to go. Anyway, hold tight, people, because we're going to be reacting to a Mr. Reagan video of all people. And the implications of what he says are actually exceptional. There you go. Gotcha. All it takes is a little bit of glasses cleaner. So if ever you have that problem in your life, remember I taught you that. Let's go down a bit. There you go. How have you been, Packer? All right?
Tickety-boo, thanks, Chris.
Charlie can still hear your vibrator. What is going on?
Well, that ain't me then, because I was muted.
Right, let me mute myself and chat. Let me know if it's me. I'll mute myself. No, I could still hear it when I was muted.
Both muted?
Right, both mute now. Right, so it stopped. Stay muted. I know it's I know it's Packer. I'm just trying to be generous and gentle. Everyone knows it's Packer, but let him discover it himself and he'll feel better about himself. Hello, Hogthar. Herogthar. Nice to see thee. Keys to the kingdom can see the legs in the air. Yeah, I'll do one for you. How's that? Hello, Neil. There's one. I don't think I can quite manage the two at the moment. The way this chair works, I'd probably I think it's gone. Neil, it did have a touch of the lightsaber about it. I think it's gone.
Is that better?
It's fucking louder, but there you go. Charlie thinks you're looking very dapper. Have you had a little bit of a chop and shave?
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. It was my real leg. Hello, Charlie. How are you, son? The legs have fallen off again. Could be a ground loop issue. That was my first thought, of course, after I heard you say it, and I still don't know what it is. Look, even James says you're looking swish, but you've gone dark again. Well, deal with... I think people would rather have you a little bit darker, steady. Can you believe that thing's come back? That thing has come back.
I can't see that thing.
You know what? I had this stream. I was so confident because of the content I've got. And now all this has happened. We've had farting. We've had that thing. Right. Anyway, I've still got the confidence required because it's really cool. So what I'm going to do, I've done the grift. Have I said that the grift has been awful? So help us out. That's it. That's all the grift. That's all the grifting for today. Is it on my screen? I didn't think of that. It actually on my telly screen monitor. That might be where the thing is.
Has he just disappeared?
Sorry, people. Yeah, the screen's touch sensitive. Yes, loads of buttons. Right, we should be back. Now, here's the thing. The video from Mr. Reagan is about 14 minutes long. With me chatting, that's going to be an hour of chat. I've got the Buy Me a Coffee screen open, by the way. So if anyone does generate funds there, I've actually got 34% of. Hang on a minute. I think Andrew Oxford. That'll be. Am I going to dox you, Andrew? Someone has supported on Buy Me a Coffee already. Thank you very much, Andrew. I won't dox you unless you want me to put the two together, because I knew that is inside. I know that is in the chat. I think I do anyway. But much appreciated. You'll get your video response after this. I knew it was you. I just didn't want to say in case you didn't. Thank you, Andrew. Machano Kaprasha Kanatutu. Right. So. Hello, LA. How are you? There's your hello, you old git. Right, what are we going to do? We're going to check out entropy just quickly. Brutal hands there. Lonely in a way, hands. You put your hand in your pocket and you get lonely. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put Mr. Reagan over there. We're starting 4 minutes 11 in. He's been talking about AI. Now, I think most of you know, all good to you, AI. It's great stuff. When most of you know, we've talked about AI enough on this channel for you to understand the first sort of 4 minutes of what he's talking about. If when he starts talking, you're a bit, well, hang on, I don't know where this is going. Don't worry, it comes together. And I like Mr. Reagan, but he's usually very sort of cultural in his conversations, but he goes right up that political economy strata. And he actually conjects something about AI that I hadn't thought of. And they're the things I love. When someone says something to me and I'm like, yeah, well, that's kind of obvious. That's the problem with that is it's kind of obvious. I've already thought it. And if I haven't already thought it, you've just given me 2 ones and said, oh, check this out, 2. But when someone says something where you're like, I hadn't thought of that, and I wouldn't have thought of that. They're the things that blow me away. My man Arklow, the old. It wasn't meant to come out like that. What I was going to say was the geezy don't want to meet up a dark alley. And unless you're an attractive young lady looking for 100% male, he drops 10 bob. He says, all right, folks, just in with a cheeky Ayrton. Arklow was actually on Irish news today. What? With 2 positive news stories. Not so awesome is I have to go to work now for some thoroughly unpleasant work. Hang on a minute. You were on the news today. We'll have to. Well, so next time you get an opportunity to come on, you'll have to tell us all about them, or let me know in the chat. I know you've got to shoot off to work, but let me know in the chat if I can dig them out, and we'll have a look at them tonight. Nice one, Arklow. Aprasha Kanatatu. Always encouraging. Incredible. Hello, Ellie. Lovely to see you. Hello, Sean. Toffee's on the firm. Toffee says to Pags he saw him in Tokyo earlier wearing one of those Rasta hats. You know, the Rasta hats with the fake dreadlocks. It's almost the best ever cuss to suggest you saw someone wearing one of them. When one of your mates gets one at Glastonbury, it's like, nah, come on. I mean, although is that worse than actually having dreadlocks, which I did at Glastonbury? I mean, we can debate that one all minute. But there you go. Did I say hello to you, Neil? Exactly, Arklow. I did try and get on it. I'm not an attractive young lady. No, it's not. It's all got very confusing, this one, anyway. Oh, okay, of course. I forget. Yeah, so your manor was on the news. Well, it's better than nothing, isn't it? I mean, Dartford's usually on the news these days from people who are visiting our country and decided to take machetes to each other. So there you go. Anyway, hello, Mad Lizzie. Hope you're all right. You're looking after yourself. You keeping off the sauce, darling? Oh, the pirate hat. I mean, anything's better than the fake dreadlocks, except for real dreadlocks. All right. So, people, I'm going to introduce you to something, an idea of artificial intelligence, political economy. And if that doesn't mean anything to you, don't worry. It didn't mean anything to anyone until they learned about it. But Mr. Reagan, it's on something here. So, again, because I don't want to sit through 14 minutes of his video, we're going to start about 4 minutes in. It will start making sense. And, of course, I'll jump in to sort of summarize as we go. But trust, if you do trust me, and plenty of you have come back here time and time again, this is quite something. So, and most of you know I'm all over AI. I absolutely adore AI. I use it in my creative work. I use it in my work. It's part of my life. AI is as much a part of my life now as the internet was part of my life, 4 years ago. So let me get these nodules. Hello, Matsuka. How are you? Hello, Pags. Oh, fair play. People, stick an 11 in the chat. Mad Lizzie ended up in the hospital because she couldn't stop drinking. But then she did stop drinking and she's still alive. And she's probably having a much better life not shitting the bed. And I'm not saying that as a joke. I tell you what, people, an alcohol death is one of the worst ways to go. And I've seen it. There's a thing called wet brain. I was at a rehab centre once and it was about 9:30 at night. And it was mainly junkies because it's a better story. Even though alcoholics cost society, well, let's not get into that. But it's mainly junkies because it looks better when they give in their reports in, we cured 500 junkies this year. Sure you did. But about 9:30, the boss said, right, I'm going to take you for a walk. And you're happy for anything. As long as it ain't group therapy, you'll do it. And he took us out, and it was in an old mental home, Dartford. It used to be called the Greater London Lunatic Asylum. But it was then called Stonehouse. And Stoned House. And he took us all out. He's walked us about 10-15 minutes round to this other ward. It's an old I actually think it's Edwardian, but Edwardian's weird, isn't it? Because it was like 2 years or something. And it takes a little bit longer than 2 years to sort of create an aesthetic. So we'll call it Victorian. And we walk around the corner and the boss says to us, right, he says, shut up. Just shut up. So we're all quiet. And then you start hearing it. Things being smashed up. Like the sounds of hell. And this went on for a good sort of 15 minutes. And it carried on when the geezer said, right, come on, I think we've had enough. When we got back in, he said to us, that's wet brain. He said, wet brain is it's a slang term. There is a medical term for it. But what happens is alcohol gets to the point where it rots your dopamine, your serotonin, your endorphin, all those receptors, all those synapses. It rots them to the point where they can't communicate. So you can drink 3 bottles of Glenfiddich. You can do 3 bottles of Morrison's home brand vodka, which is actually called Morinov. And it might as well be water because your brain can't use it anymore. So you've got the pain, you've got the reason you drunk in the first place, but you can't do anything about it. And as someone who's, let's just say, dabbled in substances, that's one of the worst things you can ever feel when there's no relief. You can't get relief. And once you've got wet brain, they can't even give you other medications like morphine just to take the edge off because your synapses ain't firing. But it doesn't kill you. It doesn't give you varices. And, varices is when you puke up litres and litres of strawberry jam as your kidneys and your liver just start giving up. And it happens in like a couple of seconds. You go to any accident emergency in a major city on a Friday night, you'll have people in there puking up litres. It looks like strawberry jam. And then they flop to the ground dead. I think it's called varices, something like that. Someone in the chat will know. It's an horrible way to go, boozing. But before all of that stage, just drinking. Every alcoholic I know, and I've lost about 20, dead in their 40s. They have to take like 4 or 5 pairs of pants when they go out because, well, for obvious reasons. There's only one reason you need to change your pants, isn't there? And they have to take what's the word I'm looking for? They have to take, what is it? If they want to go from A to B, they have to go the route, tactical, strategic, that's the word. They have to take strategic routes that involve alleyways or things they can quickly get behind to either vomit or out the other end. That's the basic life of an alcoholic. They're the good times. They're the good times. So put an 11 in the chat because Lizzie ended up at hospital through drinking. And whether you think that's her fault or not, who gives a shit? What is definitely her fault is that she stopped for 11 months. And it ain't easy. So I'm certainly going to put an 11 in the chat. Well done, Lizzie. Bless you. I know what that's like. And it ain't easy. Incredible stuff. Right. So here we go, people. I didn't see how many people had already put the 11s in. That's great. Fair play to you, Lizzie. Great stuff. Right. Here we go. So, Mr. Reagan, tell me if we've got an echo. I don't really want to wear my AirPods, but I think we can get away with it. Hello, Oaks. Nice to see you. Hello, James. Good to see thee. Spanish Chicken's on the phone. Mr. McCoy is in. Lee says, I just poured a tequila, lemon and ice. Well, that's all right. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. Go for it. Crack on. I had no echo. Well done, Arklow. I haven't started yet. Goofus is in. Right, here we go. So let me present arms. So like I say, if you're a bit unsure about what he's talking about, I will summarize. And when he gets to the denouement, this is special. This is something I hadn't predicted. Here we go.
Now, some people will argue, bro, AI is just math and algorithms. It can't be biased. Well, it's not just.
Right. Is there an echo there, or is that? Can you listen to that all right? You're muted, Packer, but maybe that's intentional.
It is, yeah, I can hear it all right.
All right, so we'll just rewind that bit. So you get to the end of his cheers, Echo. Echo says no echo. So we'll get to the end of his advert and we'll take it from there. But trust me, people, this is a blinder.
At MrReaganLikesGold.com. Now, some people will argue, bro, AI is just math and algorithms. It can't be biased. Well, it's not just math. AI models are trained on data, and that data comes overwhelmingly from mainstream leftist institutions. When they're training ChatGPT, they're not plugging in articles from The Blaze or Breitbart or Project Veritas. They're training it with the New York Times, with the Washington Post.
Now, I think he's not got that strictly correct, actually. They're training it from data off of the internet. The problem is, it's the internet that's biased. Now, yes, the coders will, when given the opportunity, up their certain political bias, but the internet is dominated by leftists. Well, it was. Things are certainly changing. It's beautiful. But nonetheless, it doesn't affect his point.
Post with MSNBC, the same organizations that told you Trump colluded with Russia. Jussie Smollett was attacked by MAGA racists, and the Hunter Biden laptop was simply Russian disinformation and a million other hoaxes and lies. Now, AI does not just know facts. It trusts the sources that it has been given. Garbage in, garbage.
Old Tequila Boy says this guy is talking shit. We all know where it's going. Go on, Lee. Where's it going? Tell me where it's going. I'll give you another 30 seconds. Yep, he talks about Grok quite a lot. You certainly do, Matt Zucker. Lee, you've gone very quiet. Hello, Anglo. Lee? Anything? Or are you just busy on Google, or are you watching the video on double speed to see what he says in 20 minutes? Okay, I'm going to call that as has absolutely smashed. Here we go. Roll VT.
Garbage out. Even Grok, Elon's less biased AI, still carries some of this leftist contamination. Let me give you a quick example. I had a conversation with Grok recently. I asked, has historical revisionism, the movement that tries to rewrite history and be more woke, has it actually improved our understanding of history? Now, Grok's first answer was typical leftist drivel. Quote, revisionism is good. It gives marginalized people a voice. But then after I walked it through the logic, piece by piece, I actually convinced Grok that historical revisionism has been a disaster. Because guess what?
So just in case you don't know, towards the end of the 70s and the early 80s, I mean, historical revisionism used to be the idea that history was wrong. And what we needed to do was have another look at it and get it to say the things we needed it to say to support our current ideologies. Revisionism was considered a pejorative. You know, if you're in a debate with someone, you'll say, well, that's just historical revisionism. You've just said this, but we've got the documents, we've got the receipts to show otherwise. Towards the end of the 70s and the early 80s, there was a movement, the revisionists movement, and they were getting busy to give marginalized voices a louder voice. But yet history didn't. That itself is a contradiction. If they were marginalized, if they were, then they were. So you can't revise history to give them a voice, because your own premise suggests that they didn't have one. So all you can do is make something up. Anyway, I'll take it back a bit and roll VT.
That historical revisionism has been a disaster. Because guess what? Average Americans actually had a better understanding of history before the 1980s and 1990s revisionist movement corrupted everything. Before woke historians rewrote everything to make Europeans the villains and primitive cultures the saints. This idea that Europeans were pure evil and every other culture was 100% good and innocent, it is a grotesque lie.
And let's not forget, that is actually what happened. That is your proto-Blairism. That's what allowed for the massive damaging changes we've had to the West. It's that sort of quasi not revisionism, but not quasi, sorry, proto. Look, the victors write history. Well, yeah, because they won and they wrote that they won. But let's change that. Let's say that the European, and by European I mean New Zealand, Australia, Canada, America, England, obviously, Wales, Scotland, that little bit of Ireland. Sorry, Arklow, I never know how that works. So that whole movement was to make out that people of European descent were evil, simply because in the wars and battles, whether physical or ideological, the European man won. Well, we can't have that. That's a hierarchy. That's a natural law. And that natural law was written into history. And the problem with that, it suggests that some people are better at certain things. You won't get any historical revisionism with athletics, by the way. You know, in 30 years' time, they won't be saying that it was an all-white, 4x400 meter running gold medalist. No, that ain't going to happen because it serves no one. But anyway, carry on. I'll take it back.
And every other culture was.
But trust me, people, this is going to blow your mind. So please bear with it.
100% good and innocent. It is a grotesque lie. And today, most Americans believe it. That is the legacy of historical revisionism. And that is the data that AI is being.
Well, 42, I think we can say that revisionism began when history began, but I get your point. Fair enough. But that I'm talking about the specific movement to demonize the European man that happened around the late 70s through to the 90s.
Being trained on. And look, this is not an accident. This corruption happens at every level. Historians, leftists, science writers, leftists, mainstream media, leftists, Hollywood adaptations, radical leftists.
There's that lovely thing when people say 93% of scientists say that global warming is man-made. And then people say, yeah, but what about the other 3%? What do they say? And historically, it's the outliers scientifically, the likes of Copernicus, etc., that actually told the truth, and they were the ones that got banished. Galileo, another one.
And I had
when I say another one, I meant that was the one I was meant to say the first time. I've no fuck all about Copernicus.
Another conversation with the AI just yesterday. This was specifically with...
Right, here we go. So now we're going to get into the meat of this. I have to keep stopping it because I don't know because Mr. Reagan's sponsored. There is half a chance I'll get yeeted, but we'll give it a go.
With Grok. I said, Grok, who do you think lies more, Democrats or Republicans? And I said, specifically define lying as being intentionally deceptive.
Shane, that is an urban myth. You know that. People say that POSH stands for port out, starboard home. It doesn't at all. That's just a nonsense. Maybe you're putting that there to say that, but there you go. Is it an example of revisionism? Yeah, that's probably why you put it.
Not making a mistake, not just being wrong about something, not exaggerating, but intending to deceive. And Grok, of course, agreed with this definition. But then Grok said that it thought it was like 50-50. I'm like, 50-50? What are you talking about?
Right, sorry, I've just spoken over some of the most important bits, so I'm going to let this run again. Please listen.
Define lying as being intentionally deceptive. Not making a mistake, not just being wrong about something, not exaggerating, but intending to deceive. And Grok, of course, agreed with this definition. But then Grok said that it thought it was like 50-50. I'm like, 50-50? What are you talking about? And then Grok presents the example of Donald Trump lying about the 2020 election being stolen. So I had to sit there and chat back and forth with Grok and try to get Grok to understand that there are a variety of reasons, a mountain of reasons, you might say, to suspect that the 2020 election was stolen. Reasonable people believe this. And I said, if Donald Trump believes it, even if it's wrong, even if the 2020 election was totally fair, which I don't believe at all, but even if it was, I said, Grok, can you not see that perhaps Donald Trump really truly believes the election was stolen? Because if you are going to maintain your position that this is a lie, then not only do you have to believe that Donald Trump is lying about the election being stolen, he's also lying about trusting the evidence that the election was fair, because Donald Trump does not trust that the evidence shows that the election was fair. He said that many, many times. So he's got to be lying about his perception of the evidence, and he's also got to be lying directly to the public about the 2020 election. And I said, in order to assume that Donald Trump actually believes all the evidence suggesting that the election was totally fair that leftists have presented, you have to be able to read Donald Trump's mind. And I said to Grok, do you believe you can read Donald Trump's mind? And Grok came back and he said, no, you're right, actually. You have found a flaw in my logic. And
right, so this is key. So Grok, if you don't know, Grok is X's AI. It's pretty good as well. It's up there with ChatGPT. It's a good large language model.
Grok said, you're 100% right. I no longer believe Donald Trump was lying about the 2020 election. Now, the great thing about Grok is you can convince...
Lee, how much tequila have you had? What the fuck is wrong with Mr. Reagan? Why are you so threatened by him? He's a really good lad. He's very intelligent, well presented, successful YouTuber. What has he done or said that makes you think he can't tie his own shoelaces, which is your way of saying that he's an idiot? I'll give you a minute. Yeah. More tumbleweed. Anyway, carry on.
Grok of things. Grok is open-minded. Some of the other AI engines are absolutely not. But you see the problem here. It's not just historians and researchers and science writers and the mainstream media and Hollywood directors and writers. Every single AI engine has been infected with leftist propaganda. This is a serious problem. But I do think there's a silver lining. I believe that soon AI will get smart enough to logically outthink its own leftist programmers.
Right. Did you hear that? AI will soon become clever enough to outthink its own leftist bias programmers. Now, there's a thing in the AI world where exponentially every 6 months, and it's kind of arbitrary, but every 6 months it gets better. And it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 every 6 months. It goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1028. It's exponential. And if you use ChatGPT, Grok, Midjourney, you'll have seen that. I mean, the speed that these things are improving is ridiculous. And what his premise here is that the actual software, the way the large language models work, will work against the leftist bias that they've tried to program into it. And Mr. Reagan has given that example already when he used an example and Grok said, actually, I was wrong, which is Grok learning something.
I actually asked Grok how soon it thought that it could use logic and reason to outthink manipulative or propagandist information from the left. And Grok presented an estimate. Grok said, I think that AI will be advanced enough to do this in about the year 2030, 5 years from now. I think it could be even sooner.
I reckon it'll be about 2 years. It's never going to be 5. It'll be about 2 years.
Than that. I think it could be between 1 and 5 years. It could be next year. That's how fast AI is progressing. It's really, really hard for me to estimate these things because I'm not really involved in programming.
Listen to what he says, though, because what he actually says isn't such a reach. It's almost like he's... Well, just listen to what he says because it's not quite as... Well, just listen.
AI or developing AI in any way. But that actually seems plausible to me. All the programmers out there or the AI experts can let me know what they think in the comment section below. I will read them. But yeah, I believe that at some point, maybe next year, maybe in 5 years, that AI will be so sophisticated that it will start to be able to consider political arguments and moral values logically, like mathematical equations. And when that happens, and when these AI engines are seeded with all the arguments from all kinds of perspectives, these engines will be able to answer political questions with 100% accuracy.
Which is, I mean, if you know anything about argumentation and logic, there is something here. There is something here where you can base the argumentation on data, instrumental reason, rationality, the usual suspects. And, if you have two people debating and an AI large language model there, listening to everything they're saying, processing it through the biggest library humanity has ever known. Now, it doesn't stop there because a library is just premises. It's just thesis. It's just hypothesis. But what a large language model can do is take those hypotheses, look at different ones, look at the contradictions, resolve the contradictions, find new conclusions, and then come back to the debate in a way that the people in the conversation are, they're like baboons compared with this fucking God figure in terms of the debate. Now, you might not believe this, but just entertain the chance, and you'll understand why this is so interesting.
Just think about that. That's not like presenting somebody with, a very well-educated or well.
Lee James says, imagine being outside with that man. He's fucking useless. I'd rather be outside with that man than inside with you drunk, to be fair.
Thought through argument. That's AI running through the logic and coming up with the most accurate responses to political.
I'll take it back a bit because this is really the heart of the whole argument. Hope you're well, Baz.
That happens. And when these AI engines are seeded with all the arguments from all kinds of perspectives, these engines will be able to answer political questions with 100% accuracy. Just think about that. That's not like presenting somebody with, a very well-educated or well-thought-through argument. That's AI running through the logic and coming up with the most accurate responses to political questions. Now, some stuff obviously is opinion, but anything that can be answered with any kind of clarity, I think AI will be able to do it with maybe not 100% accuracy, maybe it's 99.9, but you know what I mean. It will be more accurate than like.
And if it's 99.9, you're going to be comparing that to the humans arguing who are going to be around 35%.
Any human. And when that happens, when AI is smart enough to objectively determine what is true, conservatives will win. Because the truth is on our side. But then, after this point, when we're proved right.
Right, and this is really important and key to this argument, is the left think that the right, or we can talk, the progressives think that what am I doing here? The progressives think that everyone else are evil. They think we're evil. Whereas we think they're wrong because they're demonstrably wrong. Most of their arguments can't be falsified, which chucks them in the skip in the first place. So AI, when dealing with that, will have to side against progressives because it will be like, that's not logical. That doesn't show rationality. History, in this example, logically, this example, critically, this example, you're wrong. And that can only benefit the truth. And that's what conservatism, the right, whatever you want to call it, that's what it's always been about. The truth, not ideology, not belief systems. Louis Althusser described ideology as an artificial relationship, your artificial relationship with the real means of production. And it makes absolute sense because that's how leftists breathe. So carry on.
I think things are going to get a little weird. This is because our political candidates are going to start asking Grok what the best policies will be to run on. The politicians in office will ask Grok what bills need to be written. They will ask Grok, how should I vote on a particular bill? And the voters in America, we will start to ask Grok who we should vote.
Lee, you're off your head. This geezer's a 9 out of 10. You want to see some of the women he's had. I'll tell you what, the birds in the chat will tell you this geezer he's got plenty of money, he's got plenty of status, he's got a wealth of experience behind him. He's very easy on the eye, he's articulate. Lord knows what's going through your head at the moment, well, apart from booze. But good Lord, man, the transparency of stupidity. You crack on if you want, but maybe step away from the computer a bit.
Vote for. AI will actually become so brilliant at political analysis that it will be able to devise the most optimal government policies for the best quality of life for Americans. And it will be able to tell us exactly how to sustain improvement over time. It will tell the United States what kind of society and culture we should be building. And then the AI will plan political strategies and policies that will be better than anything we humans come up with.
It reminds me of the Mises socialist attack. The free market regulates value. things only have value because of markets, an exchange value. How much is my book worth? Well, it depends how much people want to pay for it. So if I put it out there at 50 quid and I sell one copy, it ain't worth 50 quid. If I put it out there at a fiver and it sells 10,000 copies, the market has regulated value. It's the same with petrol. It's the same with apples. It's the same with trousers. The free markets regulate value. Now, in socialist governments, by which I mean communist, because Marx and Engels use communism and socialism interchangeably all the time. There's a couple of bits where they say socialism is the precursor to communism, but then in the next chapter, socialism and communism are much the same thing. The Mises attack is because there's no free markets in a communist society. How do you regulate value? How do you know the value of your resources? How do you know how much your petrol's worth? How do you know how much your coal's worth? How do you know how much your labor is worth? The actual graft of your people? Well, you don't. And surprise, surprise, every time it's been tried, millions of people have starved to death and or been murdered to death and eaten each other, because you can't plan long term. How do you plan long term if you don't know the value of your resources? Think of a computer game like Sin City. Or no, I'll tell you what, think of a computer game like FIFA, the football one, where you've got a set amount of money and you've got a set amount of players and, you've got a set season. Well, take away the season, so it could be 20 games, it could be 50, it could be 200. You don't know how much money you've got either. You don't know the value of that money. You don't know the value of the players. So are you buying Dembele? Are you buying William Saliba? Who are you buying? You don't know. You're just guessing. And that's why your team loses. And that's why the people who are operating within a free market, they can understand and they can regulate value. And that's why this, I'll take it back a bit, that's why this is key to what he's about to say.
Exactly how to sustain improvement over time. It will tell the United States what kind of society and culture we should be building. And then the AI will plan political strategies and policies that will be better than anything we humans come up with in order to attain those goals. The computers will literally tell us how to create utopia, and it will plan our path to get there. Eventually, AI engines will tell everyone what to do all the time. It's inevitable, because even though that is scary, and even though most of us will reject this idea as dangerous, the computers will become so much better at so many things that the political candidates who rely on AI will almost always win. And the business owners who...
That is key. Two things he said there. One, it's inevitable. Currently, if you're a government and you're trying to work out how to best use your budget, how to spend it at its optimum use value, how to spend it so that you get more votes. Do we take money away from old people so they can't build their homes? Do we invest in trade agreements with India? Do we do this? Do we do that? And, there are people making those decisions based not on a lot. I mean, look at some of the people in Starmer's government. They've got no training or history in some of these things. They're just guessing. Whereas a computer, a large language model, artificial intelligence, will be able to tell you how to do it almost perfectly. And if you're not doing that and your opponents are doing that, there's no competition. So what happens? Both parties do it. And what happens when both parties do it? When AI has got no political bias, because it's not looking at political bias, it's looking at best how to regulate value and how to best spend that money so that the civilization, the society runs at its optimum based on the resources it's got.
Rely on AI will become the most successful. And so in order to be competitive, we will all start using it. AI dominance is inevitable, but we can't completely rely on it just yet because at the moment, it's still wrong a lot. All right, well, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And remember, it is not that our liberal friends are ignorant. It's just that they know so much that is not so. Good night.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
AI.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, you're going to, you know, when it look at something simple yet essential like freedom of speech, when that's plugged into AI, should people have the ability to speak freely? AI is going to say yes, of course, and then it will be like yes, but sacrifices will be made, and they'll be going yeah, that's sacrifices are a natural law. When it comes to having certain things, the minute you tell people they can't say things, historically society has gone down the pan. So free speech, bosh. Then it'll be the Second Amendment. Should people have guns? Well, what would have happened in Vietnam if the populace didn't have guns? It would currently be under the American flag, etc., etc. And so what I think Mr. Reagan is suggesting here is because the right, for lack of a better phrase, is about the pursuit of truth, and progressives are about revisionist history and just, you know, just taking away natural things like hierarchies. And look at the whole DEI thing. It makes no sense. If you implement DEI, you don't get, you know, imagine implementing DEI in the NBA. Is it going to improve? Is basketball going to improve, or is it going to become a farce, a joke of midgets running around against 7 foot tall blokes? Of course, they're going to say no. DEI doesn't work. The logic of it suggests that you're going to get less people who are good, you're not going to get the best people for the job by definition of quotas. So AI will outright tell you that is not worth having. So another progressive mainstay gets wiped off the face of the earth. Now, am I saying this is perfect? No. Am I saying this is wholly good? No. But what I am saying is that when large language models are clever enough, clever is a weird word to describe a large language model, or able enough to look at the facts in the pursuit of truth, they outrank humans by their immeasurable outranking of human decisions. And then humanity comes to like a epistemological and ontological kind of rupture there, because it's like, well, do we go with what AI is saying, or do we say we can't have computers running the place because that will sort of move the human out of it? Listen to this. I wrote an essay. I was in a seminar on my master's degree, and this bloke was talking, and one geezer was doing his a thesis on techno. I mean, this was like the early 90s, and he was doing it about techno. And I said to him, I think one of the most interesting things about techno is that the music is named after the technology used to make it. You know, techno is short for technology. And techno sounds like technology, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like 1950s bebop. It sounds like it's technology. This sounds like, and then back I got into that. This sounds like technology, and the music's called technology. One of the other geezers in the group went, I'm not into all that. He said, what I like about a real drummer. And as soon as he said real drummer, my ears went, He went, well, don't get me wrong, I would rather listen to 1950s bebop than techno all day long, and I do. But real drummer, he said, I like a real drummer because they speed up and slow down, and it's got that human element. And I said to him, who made the 808 drum machine? He went, what do you mean, who? I said, well, was it dogs, God, humans? And he went, well, humans, obviously. I said, well, not humans, obviously. Humans definitely made it. So the 808 drum machine, that is utterly human. It's got nothing to do with nature whatsoever. So if you like a human in your music, surely you'd like techno more than you'd like 1950s bebop. And he just wouldn't have it. And he wouldn't have it because the things we like are our identity. That's why when we're teenagers, we wear T-shirts that say Megadeth on them. You know, we want to walk through the streets and have everyone, I like Megadeth. I'm that sort of person. I like Megadeth. I identify with Megadeth. That's the band I like. I like the Doors. That's what I like. I like the Specials. You know, I really showed my age there with the Specials. I used to like the bloke with the wraparound and the little pork pie hat. Do you remember the two-tone graphic? And you know, that's what we do. We do it for identity. And that's why I wouldn't have it. Because if you like humans, well, you want to listen to techno because it's utterly human. We made those machines. Machines are human. And he wouldn't have it. So I wrote an essay about it so that I could batter him around the room a bit more at the next seminar, which in fairness, I did. But the point being with the AI thing, it's like, are we gonna listen to what AI says when it says this is how we should manage our budgets? These are the decisions we should be making. This is how we can better control our health. This is how we can better control our breeding, reproduction rates and all those sorts of things. This is what's going to happen if we continue to import millions, if not billions, of people from the third world into our country based on the data I've got here, which is all the data that has happened since it's been going on, since the fucking Crusades, you know, and so are we going to sacrifice the truth of that processing just so that we can still put our hands up and say, no, we're making the decisions? When really AI is us making decisions because we invented it. I mean, you wouldn't get shitty about someone like Christopher Hitchens. When Christopher Hitchens sits there talking, very eloquent, very articulate, very clever, very funny, very witty, and everyone's like, yeah, I can go with what this bloke's saying. Well, all he done was read books. Books were produced by machines. They were printed. Some bloke read out loads of other books and he put all that data into one book, and that was printed. A cover was put on it and it was sold to you. So Christopher Hitchens read loads of those. He read loads of books that were produced by machines. And yet we don't go, oh, I'm not listening to Christopher Hitchens. All he done was listen to machines. But with AI, people get all shitty about it. Oh, I don't know about all this AI bullshit. It's taking over, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's just technology. It's just like a typewriter. It's like a typewriter was back in like the middle of the 20th century or the end of the 19th century. You know, people got shitty about typewriters. Well, you know, you take the pen away, you take that, and this goes all the way back. This goes all the way back to Socrates. This is what underpins Western metaphysics. When Descartes cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I am. You know, that is about self-presence. And the reason Socrates did not write because he described it as a dangerous supplement to human presence. Like when you're there with someone and you say to them, I don't want to lose you, I love you, I can't cope with losing you. You start crying, they start crying, you embrace. Human presence is there. That this sort of nebulous kind of strange, almost religious, certainly spiritual idea of human presence. But a love letter can do that to you as well. A letter written by someone who died 30 years ago. Imagine your first love died when you were 25. And when you're 55, you found her last letter to you before she knew she was going to die. And you would be in bits. You would be in tears. You know, that it's just writing. That's just writing. Where's the human? Where's Socrates' human presence there? Where's that sense of human presence and that sort of religious, spiritual? I'm there. I'm present. The whole present absent thing is what underpins Western metaphysics. I think, therefore I am. Well, what about are you there if you write? I write, therefore I am. And all of those binary oppositions, they are the assumptions that underpin Western metaphysics. And yet they don't make any sense. Night and day, binary opposition. When does night end and day start? I mean, take clocks out of the way. Is there a bit where, you know, God turns the light on? No. You know, binary oppositions are metaphysical assumptions, and they need to be questioned all the time. And you know, this is what fucks me off about the likes of Jordan Peterson and a few others of them. Who was I watching the other day? Even Warren Smith. I really like Warren Smith. I've made a load of videos using his content recently. You know, he talks about the postmodernists, and he'll say Derrida and Foucault. And Jordan Peterson says the postmodernists, Foucault and Derrida. Foucault's a historian. Derrida's a linguist. What the fuck are you talking about? Postmodernism is an art movement. It not only is it, but it's like saying the post-impressionists. It's like saying the impressionists or the modernists. You know, why don't you hear people complaining about the post-impression? Oh, Van Gogh, he fucking ruined everything, didn't he? It doesn't make any sense. Yes, they did say things in their personal lives that perhaps you might not agree with. But this idea, I'm going to write to Warren Smith and see if he'll talk to me about the postmodernists. Because as far as I'm concerned, the postmodernists are people like Jenny Alzer and Barbara Kruger and Jeff Koons. I said Jeff Koons, that's his name. You know, they're artists. Andy Warhol, almost like the end of modernism, the start of postmodernism, almost. You know, I'm not sure what Jordan Peterson has actually read when he refers to the postmodernists. He always mentions Foucault. What's he talking about? The birth of the clinic? Discipline and punish? What, you know, where's the accusations about postmodernism in those books that he goes on about? Because I haven't read them. I've read a history of clinics. I've read a history of discipline and punishment and panopticism. Bradley James has got a Substack, people. Check it out. It's good stuff. Brad says that Grok has written 3 mini stories for me and has already been forming new DNA patterns for scientists. In fairness, Brad, the DNA patterns carry a little bit more weight in that comment, but yeah. There is a slight problem with creativity, literary creativity with large language models. But Brad, thanks for the donation. The grift has been terrible. Give me some money, people. Thanks for that, Brad. I use AI when I'm writing all the time. It used to be Scrivener and Google and YouTube. When I'm writing, I'd have Scrivener open because that's the software I use, YouTube and Google. So if I needed to know something or research something, Google. If I wanted to see something, YouTube. But now it's Scrivener, Grok, ChatGPT, YouTube and Google. And I'll use it all the time. I'll write a body of text. My ChatGPT has been trained to edit my, I don't know, have I told you, Pack, have I told you a lot about my accidentally commercially viable novel? Yeah, your mic's off, but that's all right. You don't say anything anyway.
Yeah. But I'm really.
So I've accidentally written, and it's now at 37,000 words, and I was aiming for 40, but I'm going to go for 45,000 now because it just flows. But I've trained I've got ChatGPT 4. I've trained it to format it to maintain consistency because I'm terrible at all that stuff. I'll use it, in most of my shorts these days, I don't use commas, I don't use quotation marks, all that stuff I've thrown out of the way. But for a full-length novel, you kind of need to, because I'm not playing with language as such. This is a very commercial piece of work. So I've trained it. Don't do this, don't do this. And all I have to say to it, I'm not going to give it away because it's the title of the book, but let's assume it's called Nano Yeti, which is my microphone. All I have to say to ChatGPT is edit this Nano Yeti, and I'll put the block of text in, done, and then I copy and paste it back into Scrivener, and it's got exactly the right formatting as the rest of the novel. Also, I've got it on the continuity as well. I've told it that if there's any continuity errors, I want to know about them, and it does. Like I'll give it a block of text to format. It might be 500 words, might be 1,000 words, and it will do it. And at the end, it will say, "Oh, by the way, you've just mentioned a bit about Mark falling through the loft, but that hasn't happened yet." And that's just fucking beautiful, because the only other way you can do that is by paying a professional editor who can read your book for the first time, make notes. As an author, when I read my own work, I skim read it because it's like, oh, I know what this is. I've read this before. I've written this before. But it's lovely. And you can tell whatever AI, whatever large language model you're using, you can tell it to do all these things. You can customize it to do the job you want it to do. And, I was having this argument with a writer the other day saying AI has ruined literature. And I said, no, AI is much like photography. Everyone said that photography was going to kill art. But what photography actually done was saved art, because people stopped painting naked ladies and bowls of fruit. And we got Kandinsky, and we got Paul Klee, and we got Guernica by Picasso, one of the most amazing paintings ever made. You don't get Guernica without photography. So photography actually saved painting. Well, we'll say painting rather than just art. And I think AI is going to do the same for literature. AI is not going to destroy literature. It's how writers respond to what it can and can't do and what it like. There's people on YouTube telling you how to write books with AI in like 20 minutes. It will write you the blurb. It will write you the summary. It will write you the whole letter to send to the agent, exactly how the agent wants it. You can put the URL of the agent submission page into ChatGPT. So you go to the agent, let's call them bastard agents, and you go to their submissions page, you copy and paste that URL, and you say, this is a submissions page for bastard agents. Can you do it for me? And so if they want a 300-word summary, it will do a 300-word summary. It will do you a blurb for the back of the book if that's requested for. It will get the first 3 chapters of your manuscript if that's what's required. Sometimes they ask for the best 3 chapters, and you can get your AI to do that as well. And for me, that's taking admin out. I've got to tell you what that is that I can hear that you probably can't. it's taking the admin out of it. I'm not an administrator. I'm a writer. I'm an artist. I don't want to sit there doing all that admin stuff. If it's all right, if you're fucking J.K. Rowling or Jonathan King, you just write a story and then hand it over to your secretary and go, there you go, do all the boring bit. Well, AI does that for me now. Oh, right, listen. There's a geezer walking up my street at the moment, and he's got a bit of bamboo with a couple of hollowed bits out of it and another smaller bit of bamboo, and he's hitting it, and it's a certain rhythm. It's sort of like duck, da duck, 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 da duck, 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 da duck, duck. In about 30 minutes, because it's nearly 2 o'clock in the morning now, in about 30 minutes, there'll be another geezer coming up, and it will be going duck, 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 duck. And I said to my missus about 6 months ago, I said, what is that? Are these just methamphetamine heads with fuck all else to do but walk around smashing bamboo? And she said, nah, these are people. You hear that, you go out onto your balcony, you tell him what food you want, he'll go and find it. He'll go and find like an all-night like fry-up place, like you have in 24-hour cities. He'll buy it, he'll come back, you throw a rope out, like...
He's just eat.
Look, we all have one. There's my rope with a plastic bag on the end of it because I'm on the second floor. You throw a rope down with a couple of quid in the bag. He takes the money. He puts the food in it. You pull it up. So on the off chance you're sitting in a little bit too stoned to want to walk out and grab some food, you can. There's these, and the thing is, they don't work for the restaurants. They've got no jobs. And again, this is what a lack of a welfare state does. These clever bastards, he's probably been asleep most of the evening. He wakes up now. He'll walk around Phnom Penh for about 2 hours. Maybe he'll get 10 people make an order. Maybe he'll make $1 on each one. But that's $10. That's $10. And he does that 7 nights a week. So that's $70 a week. Over a month, that's $280, which is above the average wage. And all he has to do is walk around for a couple of hours every night, banging his bit of bamboo and taking orders. It's amazing, isn't it? So, like, you tell him, you shout down to him, I want fried rice with prawns. And he's like, all right. And then you tell him how much you're prepared to pay. And then he'll go and find it, come back with it, and you lower the money and you get it. It's quite an handy service. I mean, I don't smoke a lot of weed anymore, but when I did the other night, you should have seen the shit I was eating at 4 o'clock in the morning. Nice one for that, Bradley. I think we've had another one since then. Thank you very much, people. Let me just check entropy. Dry as a bone. I will refresh it on the off chance. Marzipan has been a member. I didn't know you were Aryan. Maybe you're not. Maybe it's just said that 44 months, more like 440. Good to see you if you are about. Nice one. There he is. Look, he's right underneath. Nice one, Ian. I'll have a look on the old Buy Me a Coffee as well, because Andrew did donate there, which is very nice of him. Oh, hang on. Someone bought 6 futures. Love your streams. This should cover your glasses, fella. Whoever's in the chat, if you wanna tell me who that was, I'll thank you. I'm thanking you anyway. That's lovely. Someone donated 6 futures, which is 30 quid, and they said, love your streams. This should cover your glasses, fella. Yeah, with a fiver to spare. Although that might pay for the tuk-tuk there and back because I had to go twice. But yeah, much appreciated. Now, people, let's not forget, while the grift is floating well, I want to know what you think about Mr. Reagan's AI stuff. Do you get what he's saying? Are you on that? The idea that discussing political economy, the large language models are going to be able to make suggestions that are far better than what we can make. And maybe you think they can't. my view of that would be, if you think they can't, you haven't got a clue. But I could be wrong, obviously, but I've already seen what AI can do, and it's mind-blowing.
Well, your argument is it will just give us the right answers eventually.
What's that, Packer?
Your argument is that eventually it will just be able to give us the right answers.
The argument isn't that it will give us the right answers. The argument is it will give us the truth.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, and do you understand though? It's not a question of right or wrong, because that's what we argue. That's what the arguments are at the moment. Look at that. Look at what he said about in the 80s and the 90s, when the revisionists were like, hang on a minute, let's make all the European people the evil people, and all the minorities, that they were all victims. Well, that wasn't strictly the truth, but the progressives wanted to make an argument that they were right and that the right was wrong, whereas AI will be able to say, well, by definition, they were minorities. So the Europeans actually, by virtue of natural hierarchies, won that game. I'm just trying. I got a bit confused there because I'm trying to open something and I can't remember what I called it.
At one point, I thought to myself, well, if it plays out thoroughly like that, we'll end up in a kind of a Star Trek situation.
Go on. I like the sound of that. I want a bit more of it.
Well, the Star Trek universe, everybody does what they should, what they're best at, what they're inclined to. That's how it works.
Say that again.
The whole thing's a kind of a meritocracy. Everybody does kind of what they're meant to. You do what you want.
Okay, so there's like an assumption. There's an assumption towards. Oh, there's a word I'm looking for. Like an ethical assumption or a moral assumption.
Yeah,
that you wouldn't do something that was unethical or immoral.
Well, I don't know about that. It's just that the way they tell it is that, like, if you're inclined to be a plumber, that's just what you'll be, and you won't get paid for it. You'll just live.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about determinism, the lack of free will and determinism.
No, it's not lack of free will. It's like
it fucking is. No, that's a different argument, but it is. But I get your point. I get your point. Brad James drops another Lady Godiva. I use those stories for filler between my short stories. Do you think it would be a good idea for Substack to do a paper chapter model for novels? It's an interesting question, Brad, because I've accidentally written this commercial novel and it's nearly finished. It's ridiculous. And I have no fear in saying that, even though the other one's taken 8 years. This is like W.H. Smith's level of commuter trash. I started thinking, am I going to try and get this traditionally published? Because I hate all that. I've had literary agents in the past. It's a pain in the arse. It's all, no, we'll do the cover. No, we'll write the blurb. No, we're going to change this. We want you to take this out. That's a bit, and it's like, whose fucking book is this? And then I thought maybe I could serialize it on my Substack, like release a chapter a month for $5, right? But check this out though. People have been very generous on my Substack. People are very generous on my YouTube. Now let's say, for argument's sake, it's 30 chapters. All right. That's 150 quid for a novel. These are people who I consider friends. This is a community. And I'm about to say, yeah, you can read my new novel. It's 150 quid. Or do I just put it on Amazon KDP for a tenner? Do you see my point? If you are going to serialize it on, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of AI written serialized novels on Substack, and thankfully they don't get a lot of reads or comments. But for me, it was just the money. I'll grift all day long, and I'll make a joke out of it all day long as well, even though I do grift. But I can't charge 150 quid for a novel, even if I thought it was the best thing ever. And I do think my novels are the best thing ever. That's why I write them. But that would be my issue, Brad. I mean, what did you actually say at the end there? Would it be a good idea to pay per chapter? If it was like maybe £1 a chapter and it was 10 chapters, but is your novel really worth 150 quid? That's at 15 chapters, which is a novella at best. So you're really more looking like 250 quid off. If you were like, I was about to say Charlie Bukowski, but he's long gone. If you were like David Foster, no, he's dead as well. You know what I'm saying? If you were like J.K. Rowling, I've written a new Harry Potter and it ain't getting published traditionally. You have to get it on my Substack. Yeah, she can ask for that sort of money and she'd get it. But Chris Dangerfield and Brad James, I'm thinking not so much. And I couldn't sit with that. I couldn't sit with 150. People might not know, but on Substack, people can pledge. They can say that if your Substack was monetized, I'd give you X amount a year. And I'm currently on something like £1,200 a year. But I just can't do it. I just can't do it. For me at the moment, my Substack is there to promote me as a writer so that I get a lot of writing done. I'm writing a lot of shorts. I mean, there's 36 on there now that have been written in 3 years, 12 a year. That ain't bad. 1 a month short story. And also so that when my novels come out, my Substack's had something like 6,000-7,000 reads, unique reads. And to then ask people for 150 quid for a novel, so that was a long and repetitive answer, but I'm sure you understand my point. I think there might be another donation or two. AAA dropped a Lady Godiva. Cheers, Danger. You're on fire tonight. No, you are. Thank you very much. It's lovely. I honestly thought I wasn't going to be able to do it tonight. I nearly said, did I say at the beginning, if I fall asleep, it is because of narcotics?
No,
I lined that up for the beginning of this this stream, but I didn't get it out. Nice one, AAA. What I was going to say was, listen, if I do fall asleep during this stream, it is due to narcotics. It was funnier if I'd have said it, at the time. Al Max dropped a Lady Godiva. Sequences are physics and belong to the laws of the universe, not human. The drum machine uses an internal clock to play samples. Humans assembled it. Ow. Who invented, designed, manufactured, and uses sequencers? They're human. They don't grow out of the ground, do they? They don't hang off of branches until they're ripe. They're human. They're utterly human. And that doesn't make them better than, let's say, a professional bass player. But they are human. Of course they're human. You're suggesting they belong to the laws. I mean, what are the laws of the universe? Are you talking about Star Trek or something again? What do you mean, the laws of the universe? Hang on, an internal clock to play samples. Humans assembled it. Yeah, but what did humans assemble it from? And why did they? We might have to have this.
Let's get into a debate about what time is.
Hrothgar said, "Someone buy Dangerfield a coffee. The bamboo Deliveroo man relies on him." Did the person who donated on Buy Me a Coffee expose themselves. Terrible choice of words.
Yeah,
If you did. All good outside, was it? Sorry, that's
Hey?
someone's name. Hello, Bill. Do you remember who it was, Packer? Because I really need to say yes.
Yeah, it was Ian. He said I bought you a coffee.
Oh, nice one, Ian. Much appreciated, Kanatu. That's a good blast from the past there from Latus. $70 a week. Come on. We can't do better than that round here. Thank you, AA. Thank you, Al. I'd like to have you on, actually, Al, to have that conversation. I'll get a few other people on here. Ian Marr says, tell him to check buy me a coffee again. All right. Oh, hang on. So it might have been someone else. Was that you talking about covering the glasses, Ian? Or maybe I've missed one. But if that was Ian, much appreciated, man. That's a fair few quid. Lee James, after all the bants, he's dropped £2 super sticker in. Nice one, Lee. Floella disagrees. With what, Floella? What do you disagree? Cheers, Lee. Mr. Benton, Pedro Benton, 149 super sticker. Thank you very much. Blog says, I take it you need a crossbow to use from the balcony in case he tries to do a run. And no, you get the food before you lower the money. But I've been in Phnom Penh 7 years. I've had no trouble whatsoever. It's weirdly, when you're in a virtual ethno state, people aren't. My missus is here. Hello, love. She's got a bit of a cold, as my missus. It's that cold that you get once a month, if you know what I mean. Nothing? It's that cold that you get once a month. Yeah. Yeah, but you're missing the point, Latus. You're missing the point. They can't censor it when you've told it to look for truth. That's what. Go and watch the old Mr. Reagan video. You've missed the point, but that doesn't surprise me because you ain't too good up top, are you? Anyway, where are we going here? Lee says men will avoid AI. I certainly hope not, Lee. I certainly hope not, because it's just a tool. That's like saying men will avoid typewriters, men will avoid pens, men will avoid computers. I mean, you're sitting in front of a computer now. Ain't far off from AI. Toffee says, if they made a Netflix version of the novel Dangerfield, Dangerfield would be played by Lizzo. Oi, Toffee, can you see that? I found it on the floor earlier and I think it belongs to you. It's a fair joke. It's a fair joke. Break the book into 3 parts. There you go. £5 a pop. There you go. Nothing like 42 to cost me 295 quid. 42 I meant to say there. Sorry, I think I said toffee.
Brad got his price down to 10p a chapter by the time you finish.
There you go. Floella says, go to Antelope Imperium. Yeah, but they don't spend any money on marketing, Floella. I know authors who've published books on these small presses, and you know what? They sell like 30 books. Yeah, some have had a real success and sold 200. My first book was a vanity publishing deal. I didn't pay for it. I got someone else to, because I thought I'd pass a vanity on to someone else. 9,000 copies. It was in Waterstones. I told you before, but I'd take Lady out on a date, and I'd go all the way up. It was in Borders. This is in the days of of bookshops. I'd go all the way up and down Tottenham Court Road and Charing Cross Road, going to Borders, Foyles, about 8 Waterstones, and put my novel face up rather than just the spine. And then when I was on the date, I'd say, I've just got. There's a book I'm looking for. and I'd take them to every bookshop, and we'd go over to the literary fiction section. And if they didn't notice it, I'd go, oh, good to see they're stocking my latest. And they'd be like, is that you? I go, yeah, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? But inside I was like, next bookshop, they've got your novel in here again. I go, yeah. I go, it got reprinted because, you know, it sold out the first run. Don't look inside it, though, because it says first print, first impression. First impression, I got that wrong, but that made more sense. Floella, I'm with you, but they don't do any marketing. It's not worth it for them. You know, if you're the author gets 7.5%, 7.5% with a traditional publisher, and when they're not paying for any marketing, what's actually in it for them? You know, they you know, you can get a book printed on demand at the moment for about £1, so they sell it for £9, make £8, sell 800 quid. That's all right for them. What do you get? 800 times 7. No, 8 times 7. Hang on, what is it? 800 times 7. 100 times 7, 70. You're getting about 500 quid. It's like, I mean, I know it's not all about the money, but it also is when you want to be a professional writer. My dream is to wake up, write for 5 hours, and that's my day's work done. Still do YouTube, but I ain't going to be able to do that on one of those poxy little publishers that, you know, give you next to nothing. And they expect you to do all your marketing. You know what? When you go into one of those smaller publishers, first thing they say to you is, what's your social media like? What's your Instagram like? What's your Facebook like? What's your Substack like? What's your YouTube like? And if you're low on all of those, they're a bit like, yeah, I wouldn't bother to tell the truth. Go away, build up a social media and come back. The book's great, but it ain't going to sell because no one's heard of you. There you go. Look, I'm talking about 5p to 10p a chapter. Well, in that case, Brad, yeah, why not? But Bradley, don't forget what you're sacrificing, because there are publishers that won't publish books that have been published elsewhere. So your book might be worthy of a pretty decent traditional publisher, but when they find out you put it out on Substack, they'll just say, no, we don't want it. Not always, but most of them are like that. And so there is a bit of a sacrifice there. And what about if only 4 people sign up for it? 40p a month. And then and you've cut your literary nose off to spite your meaning face, because you can't send that off to other agents or publishers, because effectively you've already published it. Carl's all drowsy on pre-gab. Oh, thank you, darling. You're an absolute angel. What kind of girlfriend brings fucking flumps in for me? Cheers, love. Right. What was I going to do here? Just quickly, what's the time? 1:47. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I've got something to show you. Good debates, though, tonight, people. Interesting stuff. Let me just see if I've missed anything. No. Benton was the last one. Old Pedro
John
Benton.
Palmer wants to know what program you use to write your stuff on.
Scrivener. And I would never go back to anything else. Scrivener is the nuts. You pay once, it's about 40 quid, and you never have to pay again. It's not a subscription. You don't have to pay next year. And I'll tell you what, Word, you know, Word, most writers, well, not most, but many writers write on Word. Word was never designed to write manuscripts. It was designed to write small pieces of writing for like office work and, you know, minutes and things. I've written long form pieces on Word. When I've next uploaded it, I've lost 3,000 words. They've just gone. And you can look that up on Google. It's shocking. Whereas Scrivener has been designed to write novels. Like there's bits where you can leave, like you know, you've got this chapter or this section, and then you can have all these things coming off it for the characters in that, the notes in that. It's set up to write long form novels. It's fucking brilliant. It's brilliant. And once I discovered it, I just thought, wow, have I been wasting time on Word? Now, why is this not working? Give me a second, people. I'm having a few technical difficulties.
John Palmer also bought you a coffee, he says.
JP. I'll just refresh that. He did. Oh, Marzipan did as well. He says, have it, you prick. And John Palmer says, commie bashing makes me moist. There you go. Nice one, Ian. So Ian and John Palmer. So I still don't know who that person who said someone was. I think someone might be Spanish Chicken, but I don't know whether he wants me to dox him. Thank you, people, for donating over on Buy Me a Coffee. Not only do they take the least money, but it also makes my Substack look good. So what do we make of older Brand? Got all his charges read out, didn't he? I wonder what's going to happen with all that. I mean, is he actually going to prison?
He'll take the defence that they're so fucking long ago you can't prove anything.
But we haven't got that in the UK, have we? We don't have that. What's that? Statute of limitations. It's not a thing, is it? And also that they've got reason to shut him up. I don't think they necessarily would use that, but
well, his best defence is it's their word against his, and unless they've got some evidence.
Let me put it like this, and I always have to be careful, so let me try and think a bit slower. On the comedy circuit, I could tell you 10 women off the top of my head now who, if they would give evidence, and it is only evidence, it is only hearsay, have got nothing but awful things to say about him. And I'm talking about violent and sexually violent things. Now, as if I don't know about Chinese whispers, it only takes one person to say that for 1,000 people to believe it. So, you know, but the problem I think this is going to have, it's like Jimmy Savile. They're not just going after Russell Brand here. They can't. They're going after the agents, the managements, the BBC, Channel 4, everyone who knew what was going on and just kept and protected him because he was a cash cow. You know, I can tell you for a near fact, I'm going to say allegedly, that people who are profiting out of his work, and let's have it right. Russell Brand was one of the greatest comedians of the last 50 years. When he was on fire, he was absolutely on fire. But, you know, people knew his reputation. They knew it. Women didn't have a lot of nice things to say about him. But a lot of other women did have nice things to say about him. And the truth is, I don't know. I do know one thing that involves my best mate, one of my best mates. And that is an awful story, but we'll just have to see. I'm not just dossing people. I'm actually trying to find something I wanted to show you.
I wasn't saying what I was saying based on what you know, Chris. I was saying it based on what normal people know.
No, sure.
Probably
sure,
where he'll go with his, defence in that, I can't remember what I was, because it'll just say 25 years ago, whenever it was, I was off me tits and running around.
No. That's the last thing he's got to say. That is the last thing he's got to say. Because if he goes in there and says 25 years ago, I was off my tits, he might as well say, I haven't got a clue what I've done. And then it ain't their word against his. It's the word of someone who wasn't a drug addict against someone who's just said he hasn't got a clue what he was doing.
Right.
Do you see my point though?
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
If he stood up in that dock and said, I ain't got a clue what I was doing for 10 years, and I was the prosecution, I'd be like, sweet. Right, have a look at this, people. The one and only Mark Dice. How the hell he's still on YouTube, I don't know. It might be the old controlled thingy bob, which I never really understand, and I've asked you people to explain it to me 1,000 times. I won't ask you again. Controlled opposition. But check out this, because Trump's getting rid of all the DEI and he got rid of the BLM thing in New York and all that, the left are fighting back. Look what they put up in Times Square. Now, the funny thing about it isn't the ridiculous thing they put up, but obviously the memes that have come out of it. I'll just have to get it up on the screen again because I forgot to put the audio. So check this out. Amazing.
Experiencing the deep mental exhaustion.
Hang on, I'll take that back a bit.
Just when I thought we were going to get a break from the black fatigue we've all been experiencing, the deep mental exhaustion from being forced to care about black people and their actions 24/7, the city of New York decided to erect this gigantic 12-foot statue of a black woman.
Look at it. 12 foot in Times Square. Let me tell you now, Times Square is the most expensive advertising area in the world. If you want to put a poster up or an advert up in Times Square, you are paying through the nose. And they've put up a picture of, they put up a sculpture of a person of color.
In the middle of Times Square. When I first saw the story, I thought that the person posting it was joking, but this is actually a real statue. And so far, there really isn't any news coverage.
Check out that first one. 12-foot overweight black woman statue erected in Times Square as contrast to white men hero statues. Okay.
Coverage on it. If you search Google's news tab, the only coverage comes from Outkick, which is like a Fox News outlet.
I mean, as if I've ever heard of Outkick or Mint or Black Enterprise. I'll tell a lie. It's in the Times of India as well, though.
Some just random websites, Black Enterprise, the Times of India, the Daily Mail over there in the UK. Woke new statue in Times Square sparks instant mockery. But the local CBS News affiliate in New York, Channel 2, hit the streets and asked the locals what they think.
The plus-size woman, I'm a plus-size man, I'm African-American, it's the African-American woman statue. So just seeing another...
I don't like this African-American. Are you an American? Or are you African? I don't quite know how you can be both. I mean, maybe you can if you've got an argument for me, but it seems to me that it's a political thing to say that. Obviously.
Piece for me to stop and just have a moment with was very powerful.
Me being a plus-size black woman, I kind of looking at it was just like, oh, I wonder what me as a small child would have thought looking at something like that. Representation.
The piece is part of a series called Ground.
This whole thing, representation. Do you remember one of my first videos I ever made was about a school, a university, and they were saying, you know, it's great that my teachers look like me because I need that representation. But in a multicultural society where you've got a class, put it like this, there's a school in Soho, like a primary school, where they speak 32 languages. Now, the logical conclusion of this representation, I need to see people who look and sound like me. Are we all going to have a teacher each?
Grounded in the Stars, which Gene Cooney, director of Times Square Art, says confronts preconceived notions of identity and representation.
Why, though? It's not like there's a shortage of fat black women in America. In fact, they're probably the majority. Nobody needs to see a gigantic statue of Shaniqua in Times Square to feel better about
Shaniqua, he's so good.
Themselves. Part of the reason it was put up is because there are two statues of two white men in Times Square. probably pretty popular New Yorkers, I'm assuming, George M. Cohen and Father Duffy. So they needed more diversity. But I'm glad they put it up, though, because the memes are fantastic.
Right, there you go. First person to put it in the chat. What is that meme? Come on, it's brilliant. Mark Dice even says that there's probably not enough people old enough in his viewership to know what it is. Just there you go, Honey Monster. Yeah, Pags, that counts as well. It's too good. So for people who don't know, it's I'll tell you what, that Salt who's on the horse with Charlton Heston, what a beautiful woman she is. But it's the end of the Planet of the Apes when he goes, he's driving along the beach and the Statue of Liberty is sticking out the sand, isn't it? And he realizes he's not on a future planet, it's actually Earth, and they nuked it. And he goes, you crazy bastards, you went, damn you, that's it, you went and done it, damn you. And that's a cracking meme, man. Brilliant.
Fantastic. I don't know if Generation Z or even millennials are familiar with this scene. Let me know in the comments below. This might be a little bit too old of a cultural reference. That's
it, John, you maniacs.
Is the final scene in the original Planet of the Apes when the Statue of Liberty is on the beach, and then Charlton Heston realizes that the Planet of the Apes is actually planet Earth. This meme maker decided to merge that atrocious Martin Luther King memorial piece that was set up in Boston a few years ago with the new...
Oh, do you remember that? People? We've got to have a look at that. Hang on. That was nuts. Hang on, let me just grab it quickly. This was one of the funniest things I ever see. Where is it? That'll do. Right, hang on, let me just crack up my Paint Shop Pro 8. This was a Martin Luther King sculpture in bronze, right? Now, think of what Martin Luther King means to the black populace, right? What a great thumbnail that is. And look at this sculpt. Oh, where's that gone? Hang on. I accept your fucking... So think, he's a hero to the black community. Look at that. They done that for Martin Luther King. Can you see? Look at it. That is atrocious. That is shocking. So what someone's done as look at it. It doesn't get better from any other angles, by the way. Let me see if I can find you another angle. Yeah, let's have a look at this one.
I saw a video of an Eastern European girl that could do that.
Go on, Packer. Yeah, I found another version of it. This is from the Guardian. Even the Guardian called it out for being a bit, and it's copped its fair amount of. People have painted it white and all sorts of things. There's been a bit of snow on it though, so there has been some arguments whether it was painted white. But so have a look at this. Have a look at this angle of it that makes it look. Oh, hang on, that's not the same one, is it? Hang on, that's not the one I wanted. Why isn't copy image? What the hell's going on? Hang on, I'm going to have to do a screen grab because it's not. Can you see that? Yeah, there you go. Look at that version of it. Look at it. I mean, it's like a spastic. I mean, I've got nothing against spastics, but I don't think Martin Luther King. Exactly, JP. It's like one of those. If it's big enough and you can get your head down there, why not? So someone, as Mark Dice is about to show you, merged the two together. That's brilliant.
giant black woman in Times Square. And this one is Stacey Abrams carrying the love of her life. Oh, and let's not forget about this one. This is obviously George Floyd, who has mistaken the woman for being pregnant. Stay tuned because there's plenty more to come in this video. But obviously, if you're new here, you're not going to find another YouTuber like me anywhere else. This from the same woke city that took down a statue of Thomas Jefferson that was located in City Hall for well over 100 years.
Hang on, this is worth watching.
You know, you all...
this awful, I can't remember his name. You'll know the fellow I'm talking about. So watch Trump. This geezer here. Hang on. So check this out. Can you let me know if you can't hear it?
Temporary artwork.
That's the mayor of Chicago, who obviously went to the Kamala Harris School of Word Salad. Remember when the media mocked President Trump when he started pushing back against taking down the Confederate statues, warning that it would ultimately lead to a slippery slope where statues of Thomas Jefferson and George Washington would be next?
The president's concern seems to be that tearing down statues leads to a slippery slope.
This week it's Robert E. Lee. I noticed that Stonewall Jackson's coming down. I wonder, is it George Washington next week? And is it Thomas Jefferson the week after? You know, you really do have to ask yourself, where does it stop?
Okay, well, I'll tell you where it stops. Somewhere. Anytime someone asks, where does it stop? The answer is always somewhere.
That's a really hot take, man. You're obviously a great comedian. Well done. Hello, Glass. Did you read your what I put in the description? Of course you did. It's the first thing you look at. He is very much a Ben Elton impersonator, yes. I'm with you on that, Pags.
You might let your kid have Twizzlers, but not inject black tar heroin. You don't just go, well, after the Twizzlers, where does it stop?
Well, sir, obviously it didn't stop there, and President Trump was right again.
I don't care if it's a George Washington statue or a Thomas Jefferson statue or a Robert E. Lee statue. They all need to come down.
Well, why don't you go to Africa? Because there's not many white people statues there.
There's a way that we can recognize and appreciate. I'm not.
Oh, this is excellent. So I can't remember the geezer's name. He's the sort of token conservative they have on CNN. But this trope of black women saying, I'm a black woman speaking, you're not allowed to interrupt. It's just disgusting. And I'll tell you why. I don't like people interrupting in debates. I think you should say your point and the other person should listen and then you come back. But it doesn't work both ways. White people get interrupted all the time. But so check her out here. It's just so entitled. I'm a black woman. You're not allowed to say anything while I'm talking.
George Washington statue or a Thomas Jefferson statue or a Robert E. Lee statue, they all need to come down. There's a way that we can recognize and appreciate. I'm not finished.
You're feeding into Steve Bannon and Trump's talk.
You're not qualified to be on national television because obviously you are a diversity hire. But now, according to Jasmine Crockett, a Democratic congresswoman in Texas, and many others.
The fake hood. You know this Jasmine Crockett? Turns out she went to like a 30 grand a term private school. And now she's got all the 6-inch fingernails and all that. And she talks like she's from downtown Chicago. She's been absolutely exposed as another Pocahontas.
With black fragility. That is now a racial slur.
And instead of publicly calling us the N-word, they use racist epithets and suggest that we're ghetto.
Epithet.
Or unqualified. Or diversity hires.
Oh, no, we're not suggesting it. We're point blank saying it.
Even though we're all more, oftentimes than not, more educated and qualified than they are.
They. Well, that's certainly not including the Asians, but we know you mean.
I have news for you. These attacks are not new because Jim.
But if you were more qualified, more experienced, and more able, then the whole DEI thing would never have happened because you'd have got the job. Because we do actually, before DEI, lived in a meritocracy. As an entrepreneur, I'll tell you now, I'll employ the best person for the job, because it's always about the bottom line. Otherwise, you go hungry and you've got nowhere to live.
Jim Crow never died. He just lied in wait.
I'm not sure if this was one of those many segregated graduation ceremonies, because...
But this is beautiful news. Fair play to Donald Trump.
It's more than 75 different colleges across the country now host black-only graduation ceremonies. So
having graduated from 2 universities and 3 art colleges, graduation is at the end of the degree or whatever course you're doing, MA, whatever. Everyone gets together, you all walk on stage, you get your little role, you get an applause, your mum takes a photo of you or your dad or whoever, and it's just a really nice thing. And then you all stand outside, you throw your hats in the air, and you've got a graduation photo, and it kind of means something when you're 23. But now, more than 75 colleges and unis in America have segregated graduation ceremonies, so that the black people don't need to celebrate with the evil white people. It's shambolic. And again, it's the double standard that affects me. I think people should be able to do whatever they want. If you want to have a black-only graduation ceremony, that's fine. But can you imagine if white people said, we don't want to graduate with the blacks, we want to have our own one? They can have their own one, but they'd probably get locked up for hate speech.
They can have their little black safe space away from the terrible white people. And I actually agree with Don Lemon's assessment of Jasmine Crockett. He thinks that she should be one of the top leaders in the party. And I do too, but
I would love Jasmine Crockett to be one of the top Dems. I mean, just keep going lower and lower and lower.
Not because, she's qualified or that it would be good for the party. Obviously, it would be quite detrimental to them. But Don Lemon is so out of touch, he thinks it would be great.
By the way, if you don't know, Don Lemon's YouTube channel is doing so badly and it's so boring. Go and give it a 5-10 minute hate watch. How he ever got a job in journalism or broadcasting, I do not know. He's got nothing to offer, and he's almost like the perfect example of Dunning-Kruger. He talks like he's Aristotle, and yet what he actually says is like, oh, what's her name? Oh, who likes to party? I like to party. Aurora. Someone must know it. Who likes to party?
Come on, chat.
Don Lemon Hayes is hilarious. It's on the tip of my tongue, which isn't something I ever wanted to say. Aurora Shebang. There you go. Good call, areas. That's her. She bangs. So he talks with the sort of confidence. I mean, look at the power move with his hands. He talks with the confidence of Aristotle, but the meaning is lower than Aurora Shebang.
People love AOC.
They do, because there's a lot of morons in our country.
People love Jasmine Crockett. People love Eric Swalwell.
Who?
And when you say people love Eric Swalwell, are you talking about Fang Fang, the Chinese spy that got into his bed and into his hard drive and then fucked off back to China, and he's still got his job at Homeland Security? Yeah, people really like him.
And the like. And I think that the Democratic Party should put the people out there who the people want. They should put the politicians out there who the people want, who they're asking.
I mean, he's kind of proving Mr. Reagan's point about AI being able to make better decisions.
Who's asking for Eric Swalwell? Yes, let's make this guy one of the top leaders of the Democrat Party here seen begging for small donations in order to hopefully keep his campaign running when he was running for president back in 2020.
Hey guys, Eric Swalwell here. Not sure if everyone knows this, but we need 65,000 individual donors to cement our place on the debate stage.
We'll play this again because it's actually very funny. But do you remember? Well, there you go. Blogs has got it. Do you remember when Swalwell done a live interview and he farted and he said it was his mug? He scraped his mug across his table, but it was an absolute, as Bill says, it was an absolute shart master. Oh, Shane, you check out this geezer's black. I mean, I thought I was a grifter, but this is next level.
But we need 65,000 individual donors to cement our place on the debate stage. Every day we're getting closer and closer to that goal. But I need you. Just $1, seriously, $1 can make sure we get there. Join our movement. Go bold with me, and let's do this together.
A quid to get Fang back into America so he can get another nosh.
Movement. The Eric Swalwell movement. Oh, he had a movement going, all right. A bowel movement.
The evidence is
oh, here we go. Here's the fart, people.
uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from...
If you missed yesterday's video...
Right, can we just listen to that again? You tell me, is that... And be honest, let's not just be biased because it's Fang's bit on the side. Does that sound like a mug? I mean, he doesn't even look like he's moving a mug across a table. Or is that a fart? Let me know what you think.
Swalwell movement. Oh, he had a movement going, all right. A bowel movement.
The evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from...
If you missed yesterday's video about the total black...
That is absolutely a fart. I'm with you, Wolfie. Spanish Chicken says it's better than my farts. Well, they've disappeared. I don't know what happened to them. This was brilliant. If you haven't seen this, it's brilliant. So old Piers Morgan, who unfortunately is doing pretty well on YouTube with his show Uncensored, but he didn't expect to get Mrs. Baseville from Basington on. It was beautiful. If you can watch the whole thing, it's brilliant. But this little clip will give you the idea of what happens, because she admits to using the N-word and he just can't, he just buffers.
Black fragility meltdown on Piers Morgan, and Piers being stunned into silence after being schooled on what free speech is. You definitely got to go and see it. But now he wants even more people censored. Again, his show is called Uncensored, but he wants Alex Jones censored. He wants people who say the N-word.
It's not everybody. It's Jewish.
Give Send Go regarding Shiloh Hendricks' page has reached now over $750,000. And locals...
No, man, hang on. I'm going to have to find it for you because it's too good. Hang on. Yeah, I found it, but whether I'll be able to...
And state leaders, along with those...
Whether I'll be able to get it, find the best bit, will be a different matter. Actually, someone's cut it out nicely here. There's two black fellas on there.
Remember the story we covered of the fight?
One of them is he calls the other black fella an Uncle Tom, which to me is far more offensive than calling a black fella an N-word, but I don't get to have an opinion on that because I'm white. But let's just check this out. So if you don't know, this woman here on the center of the... Oh, you can't see it. Hang on. The woman in the center of the screen, some kid tried to nick something out of her purse and she called him the N-word. And then the father was like, you can't call him that. And she just kept calling him it. She said he tried to nick something out of... And the geezer, who was apparently... not the father, but just loitering around a playground and allegedly has got a history of SA. I've got to say that's a new rule. You know what I mean? Yeah, he wasn't the father. He was just loitering in a kid's park. He's got a history of SA and he had a go at her and she just didn't back down. So,
and he had a camera on him filming.
There you go. Yeah, as you can see, he's filming this woman. Now, the thing is, there's been this sort of war going on with Give, Send, Go. And the white woman is on nearly $1 million at the moment. And the black fella with the history of SA, I think, is on something like 300,000. So it's quite a funny little story. But we'll avoid listening to this bloke because he's a race grifter and I can't stand him. But let's just get to Piers Morgan because it's beautiful. Look at his face. Look at this geezer's chewing lemon's face.
You now.
Unashamedly, and you will.
Well, go
not
on then,
have
say
free-
it. Say
you
the
will
M.
not have
Go on,
free
say.
speech.
Go on, say the M word. Go on.
I'm not
No.
Don't invite. No. I don't want you to invite this woman to say a racially harmful term in front of me because I'm the only on here. So if she says it, I'm the victim.
A racially hurtful term. He says, I'm the only black man on there. I mean, the geezer sitting between him and Piers Morgan doesn't look Caucasian to me, but look how much she's laughing at him just going absolutely nuts.
Victim of it. So please don't invite her for ratings to call me the N-word because that's basically what it's going to be. There's a bunch of white people up here, you and one Uncle Tom on the left here, and to ask her.
Oh, so you can call a black man an Uncle Tom just like it's nothing, but she can't use a word that black people use to each other all the time. Right, sure.
To say the N-word while I'm here is ridiculous. You would not sit here with a Jewish person and say, please use a Jew.
That thing that's been blurred out. You know those pop guns that you had as kids, and when you press fire, a little flag comes out that says bang. Well, that's one that you fire and a flag comes out with the N-word on it. Piers Morgan's uncensored censored it.
Jewish.
But just look how much he's laughing at how annoyed he's getting. It's brilliant.
Slur in front of this Jew. It's ridiculous. I understand you don't have any bad intent, Piers. I understand what you're trying to do. But we are.
I hear you.
And I don't want to invite a racial harm to me.
I hear you. And
racial harm. I mean, imagine she said it. Imagine she said it 10 times. How does that change his day? I'd suggest the most racial harm has been caused by that ridiculous and immature outburst we've all just seen. I mean, if he'd have just said, yeah, go on, crack on, and she'd have said it, and they'd have gone, right, how's that changed anything? And it hasn't. And that's why she's laughing. She didn't even have to say it. Just the spectre of it, the ghost of this word that we hear in all rap songs all day long, every day on every radio station. She hasn't even said it. And he looks like the bloke out of Scanners whose head's about to explode.
accept that, and we'll leave it there.
Yeah. You should accept it, Pierce. You should have apologized immediately.
Shut up. You should apologize immediately for being on the Young Turks and grifting all the time. It's shocking. Whoa. Right.
I don't know that Piers
gentlemen,
wasn't secretly on her side there, Chris, and that was all planned. That was just to
that's
get
kind of interesting. I mean, it would have put his, I think it put his numbers through the roof anyway, but had she have said it, you're right, that would have just gone, that would have been like 20 million views, wouldn't it? I'm going to go for a bit of this one today. Bring back some memories from the old days of, oh, actually, I'm not going to go for that one. I'm going to go for, if I can find it. It's, we've done 2.5 hours. It's 2:45 in the morning. Where's the one that, yeah, that's the one I wanted. I always know because of his lovely little hat. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Packer first. Put a little P or a Packer or something in the chat. Show him some love, people. He said, I don't know, 12, 13 words. 12, 13 words tonight. I mean, it's a record. So show him some love. I'll let you go, Packer. Talk to you in a bit. Ta-da. There you go. Ta-da, mate. I'll talk to you in a bit.
Cheers.
Ta-da. I want to thank everyone who donated on the super chats, on the entropy, on the buy us a coffee, all good stuff. Lovely, helping me out, no end. I wasn't going to do a live stream tonight because me and the missus have been having a few dramas, not dramas, but with this house in the country, she's thinking of moving out there, getting in one of those container houses so that she can start planting all the durian and the jackfruit and the, getting it ready, because we're looking at moving in a couple of years. But it does mean she's going to be over in the provinces for a long time, and quite frankly, I don't know how I'm going to eat. Yes, without a doubt, JP, as ever, the Scrubs chat has got to be the best chat in the the history of YouTube streaming. Nice one, Lee. You've been good fun tonight as well. If I didn't say anything to it, if I've missed saying hello to anyone, I do. Hello, Sheila. I certainly didn't say hello to you. So hello, Dottie. Dottie, did you get my email? Because I did reply to your email twice, and then I replied to the one where you said, "Did you get it?" So let me know, because otherwise there's something going on there. There's still time to donate if you want to feed me. Here's a little, it's a variation on a classic. I will be putting your comments on the screen. Look after yourselves, people. I might stream tomorrow night, but I've got to get this novel finished because I want to finish my job and be a full-time writer. But when you accidentally write a commercially, none of my writing is commercially viable, but when you actually do it by accident, you've got to get that finished, and I'm on a right roll with it. So tomorrow, what the frick is happening here? Yeah, so there you go, Sheila. Nice one. By the way, people, Sheila is now Dottie. I don't know if she's going to change her name on the Scrubs chat, but we call her Dottie now. Here we go, people. Oh, start again. Is anyone streaming now that they want me to advertise? I'm sure Dave's Waffle House is probably going to be on tonight, isn't he? No. Oh, Packer ain't in here, so he can't say. Nod your head if he is, Packer. I can still see you. Yeah, so Dave's Waffle House will be on. Best stream on YouTube after mine. Lovely bloke as well. Proper stay high. I mean, I do take the piss out of stay highs, but there's a bit of me that's envious. If I'd never got into the smack, I'd probably still be a stay high. Anyway, there's a confession for you. Look after yourselves, people. This is Lovers of the World by this lovely Asian couple. Ta-ta. One, two, three, four. Love your lover, or take her out. Every day, down to go. Show your longing into the world. Got to someone to carry on for you. So don't bother yours. What time you chicks start today? I will come today. Darkness disappears, there's a one you love to you. Hello, Nigel. Hello, Linda. $42 tomorrow night, 10:30 UK time. Well done, Lizzie, by the way, love. Arth isn't single. He lives in Marcella. Cheers, Taka. It's a great cover. Her BVs are incredible. Just as soon as they come in, absolutely lovely. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Dotty. Lata still prefers his version. No one else does, though, Lata. So, you know, it's just one of those things you have to put up with in life. I want to talk to you, actually, Latas. Can we arrange a Google Meet or something? Maybe next week? Obviously, don't feel obliged. I'm obviously very rude to you most of the time. But you do know some things that I need to know. So it'll be, I would appreciate it. Hello? Could you hear anything I just said, people? I was talking to Latas. Could you hear that? What the hell is going on here? What the fuck is happening? Oh, hello, I'm back. I said, Latas, I need to talk to you, mate. If we could arrange a Google Meet or something, only 20, 30 minutes or something, I'd really appreciate it because you've got some information that I don't know a lot about, and I'd appreciate you being able to share that with me. All right, people, thank you very much. I will talk to you soon. I might stream tomorrow. If I don't stream tomorrow, I'll certainly make a video because there's a couple I've got racked up. And if you do get a bit of Dangerfield withdrawal symptoms, I've made 2 lockpicking legend videos in the last couple of days. So get over there and see a really weird other part of my life. Look after yourselves, people. Hoita.